as long as they allow it to be.
We're live.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. This is Alice, and I'm TrueLove.
Hello.
Today, we're going to money and the monetary system and all that wonderful, horrible stuff.
Lovely, evil stuff.
Yeah, because it's such an important topic, and yet people are still reluctant to let it go.
Yeah, it's like
Here.
that people don't want to touch. People don't want to touch
Yeah,
it.
nobody wants to touch it.
Nope.
Okay, so I'm just going to get it out of the way because this topic is something that is touchy for truthers. Does not have a problem with truthers making money off of videos or what have you. Problem with is if it affects their content, if they are holding back information for people to pay for it. A problem with.
Yeah. Yeah, or it affects the content they're putting out in any way. If they're only going to do certain content because of fill in the blank, something to do with the money, because that's just, then it's not truth.
Yeah, like
That's not truth anymore.
exactly.
Then it's measured truths, and it's measured by money, and then it's like everything else out there.
Yeah, and I mean, we already have a situation with censorship, but also a new viewer, Texas Danny. Hi guys, how you doing? Hi Eternal Padawan.
Hello.
So, yeah, we already have a sensitive issue with we want to get the truth out there without being censored. Just censorship from issue perspective, but also censorship in the sense that we censor ourselves because we're sensitive to sharing certain pieces of information. We don't want to offend too many people.
Yep.
Talking about certain delicate issues. Money is one of them.
Yep. Yeah. I've never talked about it before. I mean, I've, made a little mention here and there, but I've never gotten into it, But it's gotten to the point now where it's become a really important thing. And this is not just about people making money off of their videos. This is the whole monetary issue, because it's so much a part of the system. And if we continue to be a part of the monetary system, we are always a part of the system. We can never ever detach if we continue to use their monetary system.
Hold on, I got a message here I got a message in the chat that says, for some reason this live keeps going, an error occurred.
Really?
Or is everybody seeing this? Can you a 1 in the chat for yes, you are seeing an error occurred? And a 2 for no? Yeah, it might be a personal issue, PRJVV. So yeah, everyone else is saying that it's all fine for them. So I'm going to continue. Okay, thanks for letting me know, but try checking your settings, maybe refresh or something. Okay, sorry. Okay, great. All right. Thanks, everybody. You're saying?
What was I saying? Oh, just that as long as we are continue to be using any form of their monetary system, we are tied in, even if it's only slightly, we're still tied into their system. And, you know,
Right.
we're most of us are trying to figure out how to detach and how to pull away as much as possible. And I think that's the biggest thing, because you can separate yourself in every other way, but if you are still using the monetary system, you are still completely plugged in. you know you are. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
So what's the
Yeah,
alternative to
it's,
that? you know
well, yeah, I mean, this is why it's such a sensitive topic because, first of all, anybody, the truth, flat earth, or whatever it is that is going to shatter their paradigm, their automatic response is, I still have to pay my bills.
right.
Their pressing issue is money.
Mm-hmm.
The, the, the God that runs this is money.
Yep.
And they don't want anything that's going to disrupt that. It's funny that that's the automatic response. See how they can make the leap from Earth affects their money situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, you can take everything, but you can't take that. Don't take that. You can take my globe, but don't take my money.
Yeah. And so yeah, like a lot of the discussion revolves more around the physical, tangible aspects of flat Earth, or a lot of the physical realities goes into some of the spiritual truths. Talk about money.
Mm-hmm.
That money is the problem, the thing that chains us to the system. We all need it to survive.
Well, yeah,
We
it's
say
made it
that
that way. Yeah.
it's
Because we've set ourselves
yes.
up that way. We have set ourselves up that way. You know, that we need it to survive.
Because we've acquiesced to this,
Mm-hmm.
said that it's okay, and
Mm-hmm.
we've followed it, and we're doing it again. Like PRJVV says with the cryptocurrency, we're following into that path again,
Yep.
and thinking that this is
Yep.
a solution when it isn't.
Yeah, it's actually worse. It's actually worse than the paper money. It's worse.
Yep, yep. And lately is so quickly they're pushing this cryptocurrency, this digital currency, moving away from cash, and they're pushing it hard. Um, there's transit system is moving away from cash. Be able to even take a train or a bus. So
Yeah, look,
you're at their
I couldn't pay
mercy.
in the airport for my luggage with cash. Look at what I went through trying to pay. I had to buy a credit card to be able to pay for my luggage,
Which
because
is
you can't
ridiculous.
pay.
It's
Yeah,
illegal for them not to accept their created currency
they're legal tender. Yeah, but
to them.
it's more and more. There's places that they just don't accept cash, and it's
And this is a
disturbing.
frightening thing.
Hmm.
the fallout of not accepting cash, of getting rid of cash, anybody whose job wholly relies on cash payment is screwed. There has to move to a digital system. It means that will be obsolete because they're not going to put up with that. It'll have to be all digitally transferred. Legal transaction is tracked and traced and recorded, and it means that there's no working under the table, no freedom, there's no independence, there's no, you can't sell your private goods. You can't say have a yard sale and sell stuff for 20 cents or 50 cents or
oh yeah, no, you're gonna
bother.
have to claim all of these things, you know, because it's all going to be digital. So it's all going to be tracked and traced. And on top of all of it, it's your location for everything that you do is then logged, and who you're with, it's logged, and it all goes into a database. And it may not matter at the moment, but at some point it may matter. And then there's a file on everything that you've done and everywhere you've been. And so they know that, you know, on Tuesdays you go to the gym, and so you like to go get froyo at the place next door, and they know because you pay with your credit card, and they know on Wednesdays you go to this place, and you know, they know your schedule because it's all tracked and traced. And that makes me really uncomfortable because I know how these sick fucks think and I know what they do, and that makes me uncomfortable. If it doesn't make you
They
uncomfortable, you
track
haven't done enough
everything and record
research.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from the kind of coffee you drink to the time of day you like to drink it, but the location, to where you're going on a bus, trace your car for sure. They'll be able to trace where you buy your gas, like all of this stuff. There's no
Yeah, this digital ease that people, you know, that people are so grateful for, you know. It's made everything so easy, you know. I don't even have to take my card out of my wallet anymore. It's amazing. Yeah.
That's what they're doing with Presto. You can put your card. So Presto is a card that you use on transit system here, and they've merged the GO train, which is commuter train, with the local transit system in Toronto, which is the TTC.
Okay.
Onto one card freely on this Presto card. To take it out of your wallet, you can just tap it onto the machine. Get rid of people because you'll have to buy this online using your credit card. They're getting rid of these where you used to be able to go and pay cash. Go and buy passes.
Wow.
Cards. Out all the tokens. And so there's a couple of comments in the chat room that are interesting. They go, and the more I see and feel, we are just part of a very acted action movie. It amazes me more and more, and everyone remains asleep and sees nothing. Yeah. If similar transit cards in Toronto are called compass cards, they're horrible. Yes, they are horrible. Thanks,
compass
Pandora.
Cards. That's interesting. Keep track of you.
Yeah.
Your compass card. Huh. Yeah, I think. Do you remember when you were here? I was telling you that the thing we have to go through the toll thing. that there was a video that I saw, a guy in New York, he wired his to see how many times it actually got dinged, because it's only supposed to be, you know, when you go through these tolls, and it was actually like every 10 seconds or something like that. And it was tracking locations and pinging it was like every 10 seconds or every 7 seconds or something like that, when it should have been like only 2 or 3 times in the 12 hours. It was crazy. And we have one of those in our car, and it just freaks me out. And even though there's an off switch on it, I'm like, that switch is just bullshit. It's such bullshit. That switch means nothing. It's a fake power switch. That thing tracks us everywhere we go. I know it does. The only way I'll stop
Too.
tracking is throw it.
These roads and these pay lanes that they have implemented grounds were trial runs to get people to buy these pass transponders. Actually, all cars will have to have them. The road and route that you travel is tracked and paid for.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, California is one of the last places to have toll roads, so I'm surprised it's taken this long.
Places to have what?
Toll roads. To have anywhere we have to pay.
The word.
Yeah, like it's most. That's why it's called freeways in California, because they're freeways. And like when you go into San Francisco, go over the bridges, there's tolls, but there's very few places in California that actually have toll. But they're implementing them more and more now. And I expect they'll be everywhere soon. So.
Yeah, they will, I'm sure. Colonel Padawan made an interesting comment here. Himself goes through London Underground with his phone. He collected, is that 17,000 pounds from the contactless cards?
What? Wow.
How do you do that? A machine to collect money from these. Holy crapola.
I gotta
so
see
they can.
Yeah, you pay per mile. Wow.
They have smart motorways in the UK where you pay per mile. Told you, knew it was coming.
Wow. Of course. Well, the UK is always ahead when it comes to the creepy stuff. Any of the like New World Order stuff, they're like one step ahead in implementing it.
That's disgusting. Outrageous. This is absolutely outrageous. The shit that they are pulling off, that they are trying to get away with and implementing at rapid speed.
Yeah, it's been like
infuriating.
Yeah, we wonder why we get into these like moments of like, you know. Gee, I can't imagine why I feel like that some days.
Yeah. The excuse is that they need it for maintenance payments, but yet we pay taxes. We pay for everything. What they're trying to do is to get, it's an excuse to implement this tracking device.
Right.
To make us pay for everything so that we keep going on the monkey money wheel.
Yeah. The saying that it's taxes to pay for repairs and stuff is genius, because that's how they've gotten everyone here to think that it's always money, it's always money, it's always money, it's always is more money. Tell people that it's money, it's money, it's money, it's money. They believe it. They don't think that it could possibly be tracking them or a violation of their rights or tyranny, you know? They don't think of it like that. They always think, you guys are silly. It's about the money, you know? They're just trying to get more money. Like if I told my mom this, she would be like, you're silly. It's about the money. They're just trying to get more money out of people. That's all it is. It's taxes, taxes. That, you know, she would not hear they're tracking people, you know, because she's so trained in her thinking that it is a money, it's a money world. It's a money system because it is, you know. Um, but it's unfortunate that they all think that way too.
Yeah, well, it's just adding insult to injury to tell people you have to pay for it. It's like they're seeing
you're paying for your own jail,
playing with us and seeing how far they can push us. That was never more obvious to me than at the airport going through security. Cows going through and herding us through the gate and getting us to take off our belts and our shoes
and your sweater. Like I had to take off my sweater. Like for what reason? I'm like, why do I need to take my sweater off? It's cold. Like it's winter. I'm wearing a sweater because it's winter. Like, does that guy need to take his clothes off? Why do I need to take my clothes off? Like, you guys are going to feel me up after I go through the freaking x-ray machine anyway, because that's what you do. So, because I have rods in my back and it's not enough for me to tell you that I have rods in my back, you guys are going to have to feel me up. And you're not going to feel my back. You're going to feel under my boobs and everywhere else, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's where I would be hiding a bomb, is under my teat, of course, you know? It's because they want to push us, you know? How much will we put up with? You know?
Yeah.
And every person that fights back, you know, they humiliate you and then you shut up, you know? Or they arrest somebody
like
and everybody else sees you and makes an example and then everybody shuts up.
Yeah, well, like that teacher, that video you sent me of that teacher in the middle of nowhere
in San Diego.
Patrol.
I mean, it was outside San Diego.
And being asked for her papers, being asked if she was a citizen.
If she was an American citizen, they kept her and her kids there for over an hour because she would not answer if she was an American citizen.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Amazing.
What's more disgusting is their reaction to it. And then that are the commenters and their ignorance in the comments below, criticizing her for being and crazy.
And saying this is what's wrong with the education system. This is what's wrong with the education system. Yes, you're right. This is what's wrong. Someone who's like teaching critical thinking and, you know, to question authority and speaking up for yourself and saying, actually, no, you don't get to treat me like that. You don't get to ask me that question. No, you don't get to do that. No.
She ended up getting to go without telling them.
Yep, she did. Yep, they finally gave up, as they often do.
It was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And it was horrible.
Yeah, I mean,
they weren't going to let her kid use the bathroom. They were detaining her, and they weren't going to let her kid use the bathroom. I mean, that woman was like unbelievable. Yeah. It It was horrible. It was really
Yeah,
horrible.
it's
It was disgusting. Yeah.
dehumanizing.
Yeah.
This
Yep.
is the irony of the whole situation. They're dehumanizing real people, dehumanizing robots.
Yep. Yeah. And
Of shit.
what? What?
What?
Oh, I thought you said, oh shit. Um, what's really
The
sad
crock.
is that for all of these jobs, it's I mean it's the fucked up truth is that they hire people with low IQs. They hire people who are sociopaths, who are psychopaths. It's not I'm not making it up. This is what they actually do.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing this since the mid 80s. They hire these people because they want people who will perpetrate these sort of acts against other people, innocent, guilty, whatever, They want people who are going to be racist and bigoted and misogynistic. That's what they want. That's what they want.
This
Because
is what they
that's
want, and
what
also
works.
they want people who, like Shark says, check.
Yep. Yeah.
When you're being paid to do something, you do the job you're hired to do. Your job is on the line. Because your job is your livelihood, and the whole stupid phrase of earning a living, we shouldn't have to earn a living. We are living.
Yeah. Yeah. That is such. Oh, that statement it's so sick and twisted. It's so sick and twisted. Earn a living. Like, what the hell is that? And they drill that into kids' heads. That's their life purpose. You got to get training so you can have a career, so you can earn a living. You know, earn a living
Yeah,
when we are alive.
it's a
There's
fucked up
nothing we have
phrase.
to earn. Yeah, there's nothing we have to earn. It's already ours. It's done. Got it. Thank you. Alive.
So this is the hurdle that people have trouble getting over. And even a lot of truthers have difficulty getting beyond the mental construct of the existing paradigm around money. This idea that everything has to be, that you owe something for something, that everything has a price. It's fake. And it's made up in order to enslave us. Expending our energy need or shit that we do need that keeps breaking down, we keep contributing to the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Idea we are that we are supposed to, including water and a place to live.
Well, and if you think of how much a place to live takes up of most people's income, that's just madness. Um, it's something
It is.
that this is the biggest thing, and you and I have talked about this a lot, that in order to, and it sounds daunting, of how, how do you exist in this world and not not do money anymore? How do you not
Not
do money
what
anymore?
anymore?
Not do money. Not do money at all. Not exist at all in the monetary system. But I actually believe it's totally possible, and I think that the only mistake is to go to barter, because I think that, and again, we've talked about this, is that you just have to eliminate it completely, eliminate value completely.
Yes.
Value and ownership
and another
completely.
Right. So the thing is that we can't own anything here. We don't own anything here. We simultaneously own everything here.
Mm-hmm.
Ownership, we have access to everything. It's here available to us in there is no this is mine, this is yours stuff. Getting to that place, practice to realize that it does not belong to you. In one sense, tricks that your stuff doesn't belong to you, and that if you default on your payment for your car, it gets repossessed. If you default on your taxes for your house, it gets repossessed. You don't own that stuff. Looking at it, but the spiritual way of looking at it is that material realm, things here available for us to thrive and to enjoy, belong to us. That's when we go. Serve a purpose for the time being that we have here. The right of usage, not ownership.
Yep. Right of usage, not
Yeah,
ownership.
I have Michael Tellinger in One Small Town. He has a good idea, and I like it. The shortcoming of it is that he doesn't talk about how to change the internal imperative. You can't change the external without changing the internal, because you have to rid yourself of the concept that we own stuff. The concept of about Michael Tellinger's One Small Town is that he talks about business and making a profit from selling things to the external world, while a old a small town of abundance, the difficulty is you're still relying on money. It is a transitional solution, but this solution, this solution doesn't take down the entire system, because you're still subsisting off of
you're still functioning within the system. You're still feeding the system. You're still working within the monetary system. You're still paying taxes. You are still in the system. So yes, you may be removing yourself from society, and that's a huge first step and a great first step. But if you can do that, why are you doing the money thing? Because there's an abundance. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, there's something happening.
Okay. I'm going to take a look at some of the comments in the chat. So Eternal Padawan saying that the Ubuntu One Small Town is a great way to transition from the cash system to a cashless system. Eternal comes after the money starts to be seen as useless. Well, internal work has to be done at the same time. The internal work is understanding that money is useless, it's a tool that they're using to enslave us, and you're doing the internal work a lot of people are reluctant to let go of the system, and it can be done. It can honestly be done immediately. Getting rid of the cash already.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the situation. They're getting rid of the cash, and we don't have a whole lot of time before they get rid of cash completely. And be aware of what it is that they're doing, some sort of recourse or some sort of solution for ourselves so that we can turn this against them. Going cashless, it is a solution properly. And say, great, thanks for getting rid of cash.
Yeah.
To participate in your stupid cash system.
Mm-hmm.
Do that. You have to be able to boycott their somehow.
Yeah.
By saying, well, cash, or using it against them. If you say, I want to use cash, it will perpetuate the existing paradigm, but it is still it is more easily understood by them if you say that I want to keep using cash.
Yeah.
Directly dropping the monetary system to somebody who's already in the old paradigm. This is really, so I'm sorry I'm stumbling a little bit. But if we can come to realize that this is a benefit, cash for us is a benefit, we make use of it, that matters. My concern is that there's so many people, there's only a handful of people who understand how money enslaves us.
Yeah.
People who let go of the cash, of the money system. Padawan says, once the powers that be have no money, they will no longer be the powers that be. Well, they have all the money. Because they have all the money and they make their own money, they don't need money. They don't need energy. They make their own money.
Yeah.
Is that they don't need money. They know money is useless. They know money is a joke.
The thing is money money enslaves us, and that is why it is power. It keeps us working. It keeps us always chasing. It keeps us always having to do and never enjoy. And that is the power. And it keeps us miserable. And that is the power. And that is what they get from it. And it's not actually the money. It's once you have a certain amount of money anyway, money doesn't matter. It's the actual money means nothing. But if everyone stopped participating in it and stopped needing it and stopped believing that this wheel was something they needed to run on, that would take away what they're getting.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is like, if we understand that we need each other more than we need money, we don't need money, we need each other. And if we treat each other, family, and contribute to one another, give without a sense of ownership, without a sense of trading hours, dollars, in the sense of value, our time or service or products or whatever we have, then able to revert to this system immediately. We wouldn't need a solution.
Yeah.
The thing is getting people to understand things and paradigm that they've created of on this stuff is false.
Yeah, it's if we were not using money already, we would be explaining how we're not using money and, not talking about how we could get there, It's we understand that it's difficult and it's daunting and it seems really complicated. But the point is that if we see that it's really not daunting and complicated and how much we don't need it, um, there's all these things that they have made us believe that we need to exist in this world that we don't actually need to exist in this world. And you make a choice if you want these things while you're in this world, to make it more enjoyable to you, and that's your choice. Um, and if these additional things are important to you, then then money may be necessary to you to purchase these things. But I'm at the point where things don't mean anything to me. All of these things don't mean anything to me. They're just a bunch of things that take up space in a place where I live, And if I don't live
Well,
here tomorrow and I live somewhere else, then that's fine too. And if all of these
here,
things aren't here tomorrow, that's okay too. It's just
right.
stuff.
So problems coming up in the chat. One is that people don't like change.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true.
So, and then another one is we're so divided it's not going to happen tomorrow unless we have war. See, this is the thing. Is that like change, which is why we have this slow boiling frog situation happening. Change is happening, and they've prepared everybody for the change by telling them that this is the solution and we're moving towards a cashless society. They haven't even told them about that. They're doing it anyway. They're
Hmm.
moving in that direction because this is the transhuman agenda that they want to fulfill.
Yeah.
The thing is that change, but I'm sorry, this is going to require radical change.
Yeah.
To be content with following the herd into this techno is coming along, you have to make rapid, radical change in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Around it, you have to. Drawing from the system run by money, so you have to withdraw from money.
Yeah. There's no other way. I mean, I don't see how you can, and I've thought about this so much. We've talked about that. There's no other way to separate yourself from the system if you continue to use money. I mean, even if you continue to have ownership, because that's part of the lie. That's part of what sucks you in, is the ownership and stuff and buying.
Mm-hmm. Funny that it's called consumerism.
Hmm.
Eat it. We're not eating it. we're feeding the machine that's eating our energy. That's what consumerism is.
I mean, you know how many times I've heard people say like that, you know, they're like low on like groceries this month because they spent a little bit too much on Christmas presents. And I'm like, what? That's madness. And it's not like I've just heard this once. I keep hearing this. Like, oh, just got a little bit tight this month because seriously, you spent so much on stuff that probably nobody needed or even really wanted that you don't have as much money for food this month. That's madness to me. That's madness.
Oh yeah, well, I
Madness.
mean, you hear it all the time with especially people who money getting by, stress themselves out so much because they can't afford to buy their children Christmas presents. You have to understand that when you're dealing with the monetary system, that you have to prioritize food essentials over a superfluous fluffy thing such as a Christmas present.
Yeah.
If your children aren't getting a Christmas gift, like, you have to figure out a way to tell them that there is a practicality to life into this bullshit about Christmas.
Yeah. The best gift you could give them is to teach them what Christmas really is and never celebrate it again. That's the best
Yeah,
gift you
tell
can
them the
give them.
truth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here, but the thing is that we can live without money. Natural state to live without money. And comment that says indoor plumbing, flush, toilets, refrigerators. Do you want to live without those?
Why do you
Without
need to
them.
live without those?
Without them. The infrastructure is already here.
Yeah, there's
About getting rid of the
power
infrastructure.
solar power is really amazing. Should be utilized far more than it is.
Like, we have Tesla technology to provide free electricity. They charge us for stuff that we've already paid for, electricity, and we shouldn't even pay for that in the first place.
There's things,
If
tech that we haven't even figured out that, good minds get together and who knows what they could figure out and discover and put into action, That's the way I see it. I don't see it as how can I be limited. I see it as how could this be an expansive experience, I refuse to even feel that it's anything limiting because I don't look at it that way. But if
so, we got a comment that says
if it was a bucket, I'd be okay with that too, because I've done that as well.
Good night, nobody knows. Thanks for joining.
Night, nobody knows.
Great work says
good to see you.
That those things require an economy. I don't understand why it requires an economy.
I don't either. Why does
Tesla technology? The government is using Tesla technology. We're using Tesla technology. We're just paying for it, and we shouldn't have to. Listen, like, okay, is that we have been brainwashed into believing that we need to pay for everything. Everything is provided to us here for free. And we take those things from the earth. We take wood, we take water, we mine minerals from the earth, We take all of the things that we need from Earth that is provided to us for free, and we change them into other things that we think we need, like houses, like clothing, all of that stuff. And those things are provided to us for free. The only thing that our energy to convert it into other things.
Yep.
And these people have decided that that be taxed. That is something we should pay for. We shouldn't pay for anything.
Oh, free energy. Yes, thank you, Eternal Padawan. Free energy is really far more the way to go than solar power, but
Okay, here's another misconception, is that you have to provide everything for yourself.
yeah, no, that's definitely not. This is what,
That's not what I'm
yeah, it's, you don't have to do everything yourself, and you don't have to know how to do everything yourself. It's, you know, if I don't know how to do electrical stuff, then I find someone who can, you know, and I find someone in my community who can, or there is someone in my community who can, or, you know, fill in the blank. And that's why, you know, the way that we're all spread out and nobody knows each other and nobody talks to anyone in their neighborhood, and, you know, if we lived in communities where we actually all worked together and we all worked for a common good, and, you know, then you would have someone who you could go and say, hey, I don't have a chainsaw, can I borrow your chainsaw, buddy? You know, these are things that, you know, if we work towards them, they would be realities, you know.
Right. And yes, everyone would be working for free,
Yeah,
because it wouldn't be work. It would
you
be
surround
joy.
yourself with other people who are doing the same thing. Yes.
That's right. It would be joy because you delight in what you do. It is an extension of who you are. It is your personal expression. And some people like to do electricity. They like to do the some people like to do technology. Some people like
Like
to
grow
design
vegetables.
websites.
Yeah. Some people like
Have
to cook.
some people like to make clothes. Everyone has something that they like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in this way, you're doing it because you enjoy doing it, not because you have to do something to make a living.
Yeah.
To do it with joy and love, want people to share in it, and want people to delight in it and enjoy it as much as you enjoyed making it.
Yeah.
And that's when people enjoy it 10 times more. Sharing of yourself, you're sharing the love you put into what you love to do. Work is less effort because you're at a higher frequency. When you're down here at a negative frequency, begrudging the work that you do because you have to do it for a paycheck,
Yep.
this is a lower frequency. This is the hate frequency. With the rice experiment, this is the hate frequency. Up here
The black rice.
is the love frequency with the healthy rice.
Yep.
And so when you put love energy into something, you're transferring that love energy into the thing that you create. And that love energy transfers over to the person who participates in it and enjoys it. And if everybody puts that love energy into every single thing that they do,
Why couldn't it be
magnifies.
amazing? Why couldn't it be amazing? Why couldn't it change?
Yeah,
Couldn't it?
exactly. Yeah, I
And
mean,
maybe
everything that we have
it wouldn't
now.
break the system, but, you know, you could create pockets of your own your own worlds where you aren't in the system. You know, you can make your own communities or whatever where it's whatever you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can make that.
Yeah.
We can all make that if
Well,
that's
this
what we
is the thing.
choose.
Um, there are communities out there that are moving towards doing this, or there are people with the idea of creating these communities. The difficulty with something like the Ubuntu movement or the one small town is that it requires people who are like-minded to take over a town, which means you either have to displace people who live there, and you also have to find people of all the various requirements that you have. You need people who are farmers. You need, like, each individual skill you need to town, or you need to move into this town and take it over. But you can't take over a town with this idea unless these people are like-minded, unless these people are aware of the truth and what's going on here. You can't just do that. That's the difficulty with this. And so this is an individual thing. This is something that you can implement now yourself. Start giving away your passions through creative expression. Whatever it is that you do, start sharing it with people, and let go of your sense of this is mine and this is yours and this is where I draw the line. Stop talking about, well, I gave you 2 hours of my time, so you owe me 2 hours of your time. Stop thinking of this idea of exchange. Change how you see things and how you perceive spending money on things you don't need. These are things that you can implement right away.
Yeah, coffee's not a necessity. Great work. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but coffee is not a necessity. Like, I don't drink coffee anymore. I gave it up years ago. So, you know, things like that are not something that I would consider like a necessity in my life. And if there was something that is a necessity, if I can't grow it or make it, then why is it a necessity?
Well, but even the point about people doing things for free, the thing is you got to let go of that idea,
Yeah.
because they like doing it and they're contributing to the whole. When you're part of a community and you or family, somebody needs something that you have, you give it to them and you don't ask
Mm-hmm.
them for money in return. This is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm talking about. It's a free giving.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an exchange. It's not tit for tat. It's not you owe me. It's a free flowing exchange. And it's something you can practice at home now. If somebody needs your help, help them and expect
Mm-hmm.
nothing in return. If somebody needs you to help them, like some child needs you to help tie their shoe, do you charge them for that? No. So that's the same principle. Everything. It's really simple.
Yep. Yep. When I was at
So,
the store tonight, when I went to 7-Eleven and bought cigarettes, the guy behind me in line, he was like, "Oh, you're buying cigarettes." He's like, after you go outside, he's like, "Can I use your lighter?" And I was like, "Actually, I just bought some more at the store. Here, you can have this one. It's almost empty." And he like holds it up to the light. He's like, "Actually, this is like half full." He's like, "Let me just use it and give it back." I'm like, "No, you could just have it." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, just have it. I bought some more." And then outside, he's like, "Here, I already used it. Are you sure you don't want it back?" I'm like, "No, I already said, like, I bought more. You can just have it. Like, it's all good." And he was like totally blown away that I mean, it's just a lighter, you know, but it's just the mentality of like, I don't need it anymore. You have need of it. Here you go. And why not?
This is exactly it.
And
The more that
that's
we,
just how I think and just how I do stuff, you know? And that's, I wish everyone would just start getting into that. Just, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to tell people how to think, but, you know, if we just are giving in our nature all the time, then these things don't seem like their work. It doesn't seem like, oh, I'm having to do all these horrible things. It just seems like a beautiful transition into a new way of living.
exactly. And the thing is that the more we do these sorts of things, the more people feel that guy that you're talking about, that you gave that lighter to, and it's a very small gesture, but he felt it, which is why he reacted that way. It was odd to him, and people will react when you do things for them without expecting anything in return.
Yeah.
And if they offer you something in return, if it's money, don't take it.
Oh yeah. I
If you're
never
doing
do.
it out of
Yeah.
the, but if it's something of, I'm not talking about good deeds. This
Yeah.
is a way of being.
Mm-hmm.
Good deeds is something you occasionally do once in a while just to make yourself feel good. This is something that you have to do because you're trying to change the paradigm, because
Yeah.
this, we break it.
Mm-hmm.
How we break it is by changing people's reaction to this concept of tit for tat, of
Mm-hmm.
exchanging things. If you go
Mm-hmm.
to this, if you somebody a pen, here, no, take it. I don't need it. You need a pen? Here's my pen, because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't belong to you.
Mm-hmm.
Lack. And when you don't feel the lack, the universe brings you everything that you need anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you pass that pen along, the universe will probably bring you 10 tomorrow.
Yeah. You'll have an abundance of pens anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know, you'll have a rainbow of pens because
Mhm.
that's how it works. And this this is how, if there was ever a way to, if there was ever a way to break the system, this was how. We break it with love.
Mhm.
We break it with kindness.
Mhm. Yeah, and connecting to others,
Mm-hmm.
because like I said, we need other people more than we need money. We need each other. And when you are giving to each other and they feel this energy and it makes them feel something new, money for this, um you don't want something in exchange for this, you don't have expectations, then they start to behave that way too. And that is how you affect change. This is little things you can do right away, and it doesn't mean that you have to totally unplug right away, because
Yeah. It takes
have
time.
a bit
It's
of,
not an overnight thing.
it does,
Yeah.
yep, it does
I
take
can't move out of
time.
my house tomorrow, you know, as nice as that would be. I don't have somewhere to move to, you know. But, you know, it's
Well, yeah, like
the idea of continuing to pay rent to a landlord is not something that
mhm,
I'm keen on, you know. That's a really big part of the system I don't want to participate in for a whole lot longer. So, you know, and if
mhm,
I am going to pay to a landlord, it will be under very different circumstances for a very different reason.
yeah. I mean, there are certain things that we require here for the time being, and there are, um, there's no way around it in terms of like having to pay for a place to live. Um, there are some ways of living without paying for it. Like you can move in with like-minded people and contribute to the household. There are also homestays and farm stays where you can go and work the land, but that's still an exchange of energy for live, which is the same thing.
Right. Which
But
is, we're
it's a
talking
bit of,
about getting away from that completely. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that it's kind of a good transitional tool, but at the same time, when you are obligated to provide your time to some landlord, you're still in a master servant dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as you having to pay money to somebody. It's even worse, actually.
It is.
Boss.
Yep.
And they can change the rules on you at any time, and
Yep.
they have the power to kick you out. And so it's actually worse than paying rent for where you live.
Yep.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. It's like there's this fear mindset of, if I don't go to work, then I'll be homeless and I'll be this and I'll be that and I'll be broke and I'll be like, this is the to break.
Yeah.
The fear mindset, because
it's all fear-based. This is a very fear-based place, you know?
yeah, yeah, it is a fear-based place, which is why we all go to work and make money in the first place. And this is a very complicated subject that a lot of people will avoid because there is no easy fix for it right now.
Yeah.
But it takes practice, it takes application, it takes breaking that fear that if I don't go to work and don't make money, I can't pay this, that, and the other. And they'll cut it off, or I won't have access to this stuff.
Right.
And the difficulty is in finding a way to break that and still not be on the streets.
Right, because I mean, you don't do it stupid. You don't just sit there in your house that you rent and just stop paying rent and stop paying all your bills and just go, I'm just not going to do this anymore, and expect everyone to just be okay with that. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about creating something else to transition yourself to, so that you are not in that same fear-based monetary system that you're in. You know, it's not sitting in that and staying in that and living in that and having all the same stuff. So, you know, it doesn't look like this, you know. Mine doesn't look like this.
Yeah, well, and the first step is to change the mindset, because
Chris, I am disabled. I do not to get disability. I'm disabled. I have no income at all. My husband is my only source of income.
yes, I work. I work as a background performer in film and television. So I don't have a 9 to 5 job, which I'm perfectly happy with. And uh, so, yes, I'm still using the money system, but I'm transitioning by applying the things that I'm talking about. And like I said, you can't do it cold turkey. You can't just say, I'm not gonna use money anymore. Now, there are a couple of people who I know who are doing what they can to extract themselves from the system, and they have found a way, and exploring and trying to find out is how to do that. And the thing is that you have to be willing and able to change your mindset first.
Yeah, there are
So,
major inconvenience. When I stopped using banks, let's see, it's 4 years now, 5 years now, 4 years. When I stopped using a bank 4 or 5 years ago, it, there are times it is an inconvenience. There are times that it would be much more convenient to have an ATM card to just swipe. Like when I was at the airport and they didn't accept cash for my luggage, it would have been much easier. But
mhm.
the trade-off is I prefer this. I prefer never, ever, ever having a bank. I don't have a bank. The only money I ever have is cash. And I don't ever have to deal with any sort of banking or anything. Everything is in cash, and I have a safe, and that's it. That is my bank, is my safe. And that's what I feel
Yeah,
comfortable with.
so the only difficulty that you're going to face is when they eliminate cash.
Yeah.
That's the
It's there's
only
times that it's
difficulty.
yeah, there's times it's really difficult. Like, like I've said, if I want to send my daughter money, I can't go to her bank and deposit
Hmm.
cash into her bank account anymore. Her bank doesn't allow that because of money laundering. I either need to deposit a check or a money order because money launderers can't go get a money order apparently. Um, but I need to go get a money order that I put my name on and show identification in order to give my daughter money. So, yeah, there's times that it is an inconvenience like that, but most of the time, it's not a problem.
Hmm.
99% of the time, it's great. And I never charge myself an overdraft fee, so pretty awesome.
So yeah, there are. Um, it is difficult to operate without a bank, and it is difficult to operate without a credit card. Uh, um, yeah, some people suggest that Bitcoin is a solution.
Mm,
I
I
disagree
disagree.
with.
Yeah, I think
Um,
Bitcoin is the system.
it is the system. Do you really think that the control here, who own all the banks, who own everything, are not behind Bitcoin? Of course they're behind Bitcoin.
Hmm. Who do you think started
They
Bitcoin?
well, exactly. They're behind Bitcoin.
Hmm.
They're behind all of it.
Yep. They
And
want
so,
this digital currency. They
yes,
want
they
the
do.
digital currency. They want it badly.
Yeah, and they're positioning it as if it's this benevolent solution because it takes it away from the centralized banking system.
Hmm. Yep. And then everyone will find out after that it's all the same people, but they won't find out until it's too late that it's all the same people. And you know how much money Bitcoin is going to save them to not have to print money and have the Federal Reserve and all that stuff? Oh, it's going to save them so much money to not have actual money.
Hmm.
They're going to love it.
Exactly. So now asking why banks would create Bitcoin
You don't think they'll
because they
make
want
money?
more
No. They'll make money
control.
off cryptocurrency just like they will regular currency.
Here's the thing, they don't need to make money. The Bitcoin is mining data.
That's the real currency.
They're getting us to
Data.
mine the data.
Yep.
So what is the data they're getting us to mine? They get you to pay for this computer system that you put in your house, and Lord knows what that does, to mine their data for them. And what is what are these pieces of data that they want you to mine? And it's, first of all, transactions, but it's also helping the AI learn.
Yeah.
These blockchain is about the AI learning. And so we're doing that for them. This is what we're doing. This is what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is a way of monetizing this mining system. No value. It's not backed by anything, but the existing monetary system is not backed by anything anyway.
Yeah.
And so they're getting us to do the mining for them. And in order to get us to do that, they monetized it. They put a value on it. And this is the system, and this Bitcoin is still reliant on the old money system. How do you think that Bitcoin has any value? It's a currency, but you have to exchange it. You're still exchanging it. And now they're making Bitcoin more acceptable. More people are taking it. Constantly change it over to other currency. But this one currency system is Bitcoin, is going to get everybody onto this Bitcoin. So there is no individual currencies.
Yeah, that's Eternal Padawan's right. The clue is in the name, crypto. Crypt. Yep. Says a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every time you
What is it?
use it, every way you use it, it's information. It's more information.
Talking about the monetary system and getting out of the system. And I mean, the stages, as you wake up to the reality of what's going on here, you kind of just naturally don't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
You can't be a part of it. And so, like you were saying, buying things that you no longer, like things that you don't need, it just clutters up your life. You're just like, why am I buying this? And I don't need it. And you can't go out and enjoy things like going to the movies or going out for drinks or going out for dinner or any of that anymore.
Yeah. We were talking about that the other day. I was like, what am I going to do? Go to Universal Studios? Watch
Mm-hmm.
the people? Like, what? I don't even, I'm doing what I want to do, Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
I get people telling me, all the time, you should do things that are just fun. And oh dear, no, not barter.
That's
No.
that still puts value on stuff and property, and it still is putting ownership on things, and that's what we really need to get away from, is that we own anything, that anything has a value.
Yes,
And there is
barter
no
is another trap.
yeah, there is no exchange, there is no barter, there is no, you need something, I have it, here you go,
Yeah, no barter, no trade. You need this, I have it, here, have it. And or borrow it or whatever. And when you're done with it, you can give it back, or you don't have to give it back because there's plenty to be had. I will find it somewhere else.
Yeah,
When
we
I
live in
need
an
it, it
abundant
will,
world,
yeah, when I need it, it will be provided to me. And this is part of the result of doing the inner work, of understanding that we live in an abundant universe, and that everything you need is provided to you as you need it. And
You cut it
you
out
need,
right there.
well, need is provided to us as we need it.
Yep.
And so doing the inner work and understanding law of attraction and understanding how the universe works and understanding that everything is provided and this is an abundant universe. And for those of you who are Christian, it is in the Bible as well. It tells you flat out in the Bible that everything is provided. You don't need to hoard things away. The birds and the animals don't hoard things away. Squirrels do.
Squirrels are fucking crazy too.
Yeah. So yeah, like the idea of barter and trade or is part of scarcity model. That's what money is, a scarcity model. It is, and this is relating back to the Venus Project. When Venus Project, there's this controlled resources. When you control the resources, you control the people. Period. And
Yep.
so this project or any solution like it, where the resources are controlled, it is not a solution. It is further control. The resources are abundantly available. And Eternal Padawan is right. People are so afraid that they will lose the things they need, but if it's needed, people will continue to make it, money or no money.
Yep. Yeah. It's this idea of I'm not going to have what I need is exactly what people need to let go of. And that is where the inner work comes in of
that's the scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset tells you that there's not enough to go around.
Yeah. And
thieving and stealing comes in.
And fear, or that, well, that's okay, but this is mine and this is mine. You can have that stuff, but this stuff is mine, How am I going to
Okay,
prevent
beautiful awakening.
resources that are supposed to be shared?
There is no need to, because it's abundantly available. You can't take any more than you need. You're going to eat 15 bananas. There's going to be people who, if you eat 15 bananas, then you're going to be sick on bananas.
Yeah.
Like
you're going to throw up bananas, and you probably won't do that tomorrow.
There is no need to protect anything because it is abundantly available.
Yeah. And I believe that, in whatever I create, and whoever is around me to create it, the vibrational frequency, for the most part, will keep people out who aren't on the same frequency. And that's usually the case with anything, like attracts like. And for the most part, especially when you get into things like this that are really high vibrational living, people who aren't on the same level are not going to last. If there was someone who was going to exploit it and who wasn't in the same, they wouldn't last anyway. So, okay, you're gonna come and steal my chainsaw. Okay, I would have given it to you, so enjoy the chainsaw. And then they're gonna run away with the chainsaw, and we'll never see them again. So, I mean,
this is why
people like that wouldn't
Jesus
last.
Jesus in the Bible even says, if someone steals your coat, give them if someone steals your coat, give them the shirt off your back as well.
Yeah.
Because you know that you have an abundant universe. You don't need it. If they obviously need it more than you do, but they don't realize, they're still in the scarcity mindset. They don't realize that everything is provided. They think they have to take.
Yep.
So this is the change that we need to make. And yes, it is an inner change. It is an inner work that you need to do. But it's also it's a balance between inner and outer work.
Yes.
You change the inner thought process and the inner beliefs, it comes out in your behavior, and it is reflected back to you.
Yes. I agree. You can't change everyone.
So yeah,
not everyone will change, and that's okay. Maybe they will.
well, this is the thing, is like when you are the change you want to see in the world, other people notice it. Especially this kind of behavior, it's so odd to people that it stands out.
Mhm. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
for example, I was at a coffee shop, and this notion of I bought this guy a coffee. This guy was standing in line, and I said, "I'll buy your coffee." And he said he was so surprised, and I said, "You don't need to return it to me. You can pay it forward, buy it for somebody else." But I ended up running into him the next day, and he bought my coffee. So it came right back to me. But the thing is when you do these little things, and they usually come back to you tenfold. So
Yep.
when you go out and you buy someone a coffee, you'll get that sort of gesture returned to you in other ways.
Mhm. Yeah,
It's that act of giving.
yeah, that's why we have an abundant life, we're never in the situation where we want for anything, because, and I'm not saying this to be bragging, my husband and I are giving people. If we have, we give, it's because we don't, it's not like we're handing out money, but we're giving people. We share what we have because that's just how we both are. And that's the energy that we want to put out, and that's the kind of people that we have chosen to be. And it always comes back to us. We always have what we need. We always have what we need, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We're always taken care
Chris
of.
saying, sorry, he's a Debbie Downer. He's a conflict of reality and yet wanting to be more with less. Well, the thing is that asking the right questions, and the reason I'm responding to you is because a lot of people are asking the same questions, and at least you're being respectful. You're not trolling. And so your questions are very helpful and important, because so many people have the same questions, and um, it is a hurdle to overcome this mindset. And I think when you start purging, doing more with less, when you start purging and realizing how little you actually need, you kind of you start thinking that way. You start changing how you think and how you see things. So
Yes.
you can start with that. You can start with going through your stuff and saying, do I really need this? How much can I give away? Or how much can I? And if you feel like you want to sell it, then sell it. Or if you want to just give it away, give it away. But the more that you realize that this money system is a trap, for you to participate in it. I mean, I have extreme anxiety about it because I feel that it's so wrong. I don't want to participate in it. And yet I know that I have to do to some degree, and I'm trying to do it as minimally as possible because it's dirty. And yet I have
It
to,
feels so gross.
yeah,
But I have to.
I have to
Yeah.
keep,
Yeah.
I have to keep changing my perspective with it in order to be okay with working in the
Mm-hmm.
system to earn money to pay for things that I need, like food.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to the grocery store and I feel dirty and stupid for paying for food that could be easily grown in the ground for
Yeah.
4 tomatoes is absurd.
I know. I know.
And I have to constantly find a way to justify doing what I'm doing because it's so wrong.
Yeah.
But right now, this is what I need to do to survive. It's just stupid.
Yeah, it is. It's absurd. I paid $1 for a tomato. $1 for a tomato, you know? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
madness. Madness. I mean,
yeah,
if I was growing tomatoes, I would have more tomatoes and I would know what to do with. And yes, beautiful
exactly.
awakenings. I would, of course, you wouldn't produce more than your community needed, you know, because why would you do that?
Yeah, but why wouldn't you do that? If you go, hey, for example, if everybody now with a house and a garden grew vegetables in their backyard or their front yard instead of grass, have an abundance of food, and then if
Yeah,
you're
once you
say
can and
say
everything, I mean, beyond that, you can't, beyond your storage, you don't go beyond that
yeah, but
because
if you're
everyone should
so if you're
store.
producing if you have an apple tree in your garden, that apple tree produces an abundance of apples that you can't possibly eat by yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
you would go around your neighborhood and give them away.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than you need.
Mm-hmm.
If your neighbor has a peach tree, well, they can go around their neighborhood and give people peaches. More than you need. But collectively, everybody is fed and everybody gets what they need. But like when you're in a state of abundance, like we've lived in scarcity so long. This concept of abundance is very hard to conceive because abundance means that there is enough for everyone,
More than
overflowing,
enough. Yeah. We're
more
not
than enough.
even,
It's
yeah, we're not even
endless.
used to that idea. I mean, I haven't had abundance my entire life, Never had abundance.
Right. So we have to try to get used to the idea of what abundance is. And I've been practicing that concept of abundance because, and you don't need, this is the thing, we have this idea that we need in order to be independently wealthy or
I know we got to
free
win the
of,
lottery. We have to win the lottery first, or have a ton of money to be able to do something like this. First you have to have a bunch of money because you got to be independently wealthy to be able to pull this off, right? No,
exactly. And it's
wrong,
not true.
wrong.
The food you're going to eat in your life today,
Right.
that's
Oh,
ridiculous because it will go bad.
yeah.
And so everything that we need is provided in abundance. And the difficulty is that a lot of people are still looking at it from the current mindset,
Mm-hmm.
from the
From a
current
currency.
way things are.
From a
And you
currency.
have to get from the currency. You have to look at things a completely different way in order for them to change. And so Beautiful Awakening is saying you could work on restoring excess farming land to be forest for wildlife. We currently produce way more food than we consume and is thrown away. That's there's so many things that people are doing, tearing down rainforests, building houses on farmland, and there's too much housing available. Yeah, there's a whole host of these problems. Problems will eventually go away once you get rid of the money.
Yep. Yeah.
There's not going to be any greed. There's not going to be any profit hunting.
Yeah. The money is the root of all evils, you know. I mean, they say that because they have to give themselves away. They always have to give themselves away. Yeah, homegrown tomatoes actually taste like tomatoes. Actually,
Yep.
good tomatoes.
Yeah, like this is the other thing is when we start creating our own gardens and our own food and having organic vegetables and fruit again, you don't even need as much because it feeds you more, because it tastes better and it has more nutrients in it, and part of the problem is our soil sucks too.
Right. Yeah.
The point is that once we get back to organic food growing and you see the difference in that quality of vegetation, that quality of fruit, compared to the garbage that we're given in the grocery store today, you won't need as much.
Yeah, it's true, because even the stuff that they say is organic now is, you know, the organic requirements are, you know, the percentages, I can't even remember what they are, but I remember they were shocking. And, you know, there's contamination and, you know, I still get very uncomfortable, you know, because I know it's not completely organic. I mean, it's better than not, but it's still, you know, it's not truly organic. Not as if I had grown it, because and it would be completely organic, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Good night, Shark.
Night, Shark.
Yeah,
Love
Beautiful
you.
Awakening asks if we would be food to other countries, and why not? We do it now. Why would we change that? The existing infrastructure doesn't have to change. The only thing that needs to go is money. That's it.
Yeah.
And GMO foods.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to eat GMO anymore.
GMO needs to stop. No GMO. Okay. Yeah.
Apply this if you had children. By that I mean, would you still feel that abundance would show up? Of course,
Yeah.
abundance means abundance. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't change if you have kids or not. Yeah. Definitely. Actually, I think probably
yeah.
practice it more when you have children, you know. I mean, my daughter's grown now, but um these are things that I practiced to an extent when she was young, though not as much, because I spent much more time in a fear state of mind back then, because I was very afraid that I was not going to have everything that I needed all the time, because
Mm-hmm.
you know, worry, 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 fear, fear, fear that I'm not going to have everything that I need to take care of my child, because I was a single mom. And there were times that I worked 3 jobs um, to take care of my child and make sure that she had not just everything that she needed, but the things that she wanted as well. So I very much gave into that system when my daughter was growing up, and I wish I had not, because I did her a great disservice, because now she lives in the fear system. So I think that if you have the opportunity to raise your children outside of the system, then you do them a great service by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do them a great service. I mean, like I said, I wish I had done for my daughter, you know, because I see her struggle with fear and money and career and all the things that are not important, you know, and she's this close to being awake, and it's all the fear that keeps her from going over the edge, you know. So
Yeah. Well, that's the same for a lot of people. And you can't blame yourself for that because
yeah,
you did the best you could.
yeah,
And looking back on it now, so it everything is always working out for the best. So
yeah,
there's a reason why you couldn't have told her.
yeah. I did, you know,
And
I did the best I could at the time, and I had her young, and you know, but I would certainly do it very differently now, you know.
mm-hmm.
I would certainly do it very differently. And I really applaud, you know, people who homeschool their kids and who raise their kids as far outside the system as they can. I think that's really great. I really do.
Yeah, like conspiracy mystic and how she homeschools her children.
Hmm. I was just
And
thinking of her
um,
actually.
yeah, like the video that she posted today about homeschooling was wonderful.
Yeah.
I've talked about education and how it angers and frustrates me that we wasted so much time and energy and anxiety and fear
Hmm.
on this perceived importance of getting good grades and getting
I
into a good
know.
school and
I know.
getting, and it's all lies and bullshit.
Yeah.
And we've spent all this time, my whole, like all that
Studying and grades and just all the stress and you know,
over lies.
yeah, or lies. Just fucking lies. And when she said it was like 11 minutes a day that they actually spent learning, that the teacher said that that teacher had actually tallied it up, that children actually spent only 11 minutes a day learning. I
Mm-hmm.
was If I had found that out when my daughter was in school, I would have pulled her out immediately and started homeschooling her like that day, if I had seen that
Yep.
video.
Well, this is it. Like, this is the action that a lot of us have, is that we have to take instant, immediate change,
Yeah.
because once we realize what it is, we don't want any part of it.
Hmm.
And yet there's certain aspects of it that keep us attached to it. And so this is why we're having this discussion, because this is the one thing that keeps us tied to it.
Yeah.
This is the one thing we have such a hard time extracting ourselves from, is the money.
Yep.
And so we have to find a solution.
That's what
And
I wanted to go
so
live in a
far,
cabin in the woods when I first woke up, you know? Like that's was my like plan. I was like, fuck all of this. I'm going to go live in a cabin in the woods by myself. Like me and my dog, and that's it. Like that's it. That was all I could handle.
mm-hmm,
My plan.
yeah,
My husband wasn't even
yeah.
getting to come with
So
me because he wasn't even digging on flat Earth or anything then, so he wasn't even going to get to come with me.
Yeah, like that's what a lot of us want to do. A lot of us think that the solution is to uh, extract ourselves from society and
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
Jeff Mosby, welcome to the awakened group.
Welcome, Jeff. And we know how it is when no one believes you. We believe you.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Woke and broke. Yes, that's very true.
That's all right.
But you know what?
Broke is
That I've
good.
realized. So here's the thing I've realized. There is tremendous power and strength in community.
Hmm.
And when you are um, giving of yourself and loving and helpful to other people, because that is how you are, because you realize the importance of connecting with other people,
Hmm.
they take care of you.
Yeah.
Sure. Our nature is to look after one another. Our nature is to love and respect each other.
Yeah, that's why
Um,
when we see a video of, someone who like faints in public and everyone just walks by and ignores them and we're all disgusted, because it's human nature to help one another, you know? It's
mhm.
human nature to care for one another, to nurture one another, to be loving to one another. That is our nature. And so when we don't do that, and these things that have been um, falsely instilled into us, to look away, to not involve yourself, to not care. These are viruses. These are not true to us.
Yeah, that's right. They've conditioned us to be as detached from one another as possible. And a
Yeah.
lot of those portrayed in the media is not a pure reflection on what's actually happening in society.
No.
There are,
Staged. Yeah.
uh, yeah, these articles, these so-called studies, research studies that are all made up bullshit, saying that X percentage of people are now staying home more, or
Right.
disconnecting from society, not driving as much, not like the teenagers are
Millennials all
not
believe
going
this.
out on
Yeah.
dates anymore. They're not going out on Friday nights. They're not driving cars anymore.
Hmm.
Well, why are they telling us this information? They're trying to make us believe that we're detached from one another, and there is an element of truth to that, of course. But they're trying to perpetuate that and
Right.
feed that and make it acceptable and say this is the social norm, this is the trend, this is where things are going, and it's
Right.
okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they want. They want everyone to be isolated. And I mean, they've done it with everything, And look at what they've done with sex and pornography. They've made it so it's detached. It's they took the love out of sex as much as they possibly could,
Hmm.
because they want human beings to be emotionally detached from one another, as emotionally detached as possible.
Yeah, and so
You've done a good job of
we
it.
feel afraid as well, because they instill fear in us. Simple things like don't go walking in the woods by yourself, don't go walking alone at night, um, don't go helping a stranger because they might have some sort of incurable fatal disease bleeding, you could get it too.
Right.
So there's all of these fear tactics that they have employed away from people.
Yep. Might have AIDS.
TDs, right? That's totally made up. It's totally fake.
Yep.
So all of this stuff they've made up to keep us in perpetual fear and separate us. Weren't we talking a little while ago about how or maybe it was me and my friend. We were talking about how school immediately separates the boys from the girls.
Yeah, that wasn't us. But that's
Yeah,
interesting.
so like in kindergarten, you as soon as you enter into kindergarten or even um, daycare,
Mm-hmm.
they separate boys from girls, or even before that with toys.
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah.
toys, they separate boys from girls with toys because boys aren't allowed to play with dolls, GI Joes and action figures, but they aren't allowed to play with Barbie dolls. And yet, when the girls are playing with Barbie dolls, they're not allowed to play with boy stuff.
Yeah. Well, they've got just the sections.
Immediately,
The toy sections are separated. You know, this is the girls section. This is the boys section.
yeah. So they immediately separate boys from girls who you're not allowed to play with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not allowed to play with each other, you don't get to know what boys and girls are like.
Yeah.
Are like, and boys only get to know what boys are like.
Yep.
And if you played together, you would realize that they're not so different from one another, and we wouldn't have these relationship issues.
Right. Spend 20 years trying to figure out what the other sex is like, and 20 years later, you're like, oh, okay, not that much different. Got it. you know
Yeah,
it's yeah, it's separation. It's more separation. It's separation everywhere. And it the separation extends to us. It's the separation goes to ourselves. It's the same thing, that the separation within ourselves, keeping us separated from ourselves, from our true selves and our power
separate
and our our higher
from
selves.
source.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, they want boys to be girls and girls to be boys. They want the genders to blur.
Yep. Yeah. It's Padawan. Oh, you break
It's very simple to me too.
oh, you break it down so well.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Up. Yeah, the whole issue of the gender.
Yeah, and the emotional detachment is a big thing too. There's been an assault on emotions for a long time, of any sort of emotion that you show. It's like, God, you're acting so emotional. Why are you being so emotional? Why do you have to show your emotions? Can't you just be logical? There's
Mm-hmm.
been this attack. I've noticed it like since the 90s, of this assault on emotions. Um, and it's with everyone. It's not just with women, it's with everyone. Because I've noticed it with men as well. That showing any sort of emotion has been really beaten down really badly, especially since like 2000, probably since like around 9/11, but it's been really bad. And it's building this, don't show any feeling, be freaking robot.
Yeah, I think I've dealt with a lot of situations where and been made to feel really bad for it,
Mhm. Oh, me too. Yep.
been berated for it, criticized for it, unstable for it. Um,
Yeah.
this is why with my YouTube channel, important to express raw emotion when I feel it, if I feel it. because, and I don't do it all the time.
Right.
Or I'm like, I don't sit around, like if I'm crying or whatever, I'm like, oh, better record myself and
Yeah,
put it on
where's my
YouTube. That's
phone?
not
Where's my phone? Yeah. Yeah. There's very few of
talking
me in
about
that, yeah, in that state as well. But
what is, yeah, if I am talking and I am going through something and I am expressing myself and I happen to outburst yelling or crying, um like any of the spectrum of emotions, censor myself and
yeah,
take it down or not post it and reshoot it, because
yeah. Yeah, I get to have emotions.
is
Yeah.
this to say, listen, you're not alone. I'm going through this shit too.
Yeah.
Because when I was going through this shit in the beginning, there are many people willing to do that. It's important to show emotion. And I am not disgusted by emotional men, to be
No,
honest. I'm
nor am I.
actually touched. I am,
Yeah. My husband is an emotional man, and it's one of my favorite things about him. So, yeah.
yeah. When I am touched when a man is emotionally vulnerable in front of me,
Hmm.
know how they feel. Thing. And I'm not talking to. I think what is not is somebody who's constantly
Yeah. Oh,
emotional and emotional about silly things.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's
if you're,
yeah,
yeah,
there's a balance in everything, you know? There has to be a balance in everything. But I don't like to be told, like, I have a subscriber who is one of those, you know, the type. I'm just gonna say one of those. And he comments on one of my videos, and he starts out with, "Now don't get mad if I say this." And I'm like, "Really?" Like, and it wasn't even something that I would get mad about. And the fact that he starts out with, "No, don't get mad if I say this," like assuming that I'm going to somehow overreact to something you're going to say because I've expressed my opinion openly in the past before instead of just agreeing with you, means that I get angry. And I've had that before. Like, I've dealt with that, the same thing, oddly enough, always with male subscribers, that if I disagree and state my opinion, that somehow that means that I am being emotional or angry. Having an opinion and
yeah.
having emotions are somehow the same thing. Yeah, and it is. It's been connected with weakness. Yes. You are
And
right, BRJ.
I think that anger is also healthy in certain situations, and I feel like it becomes a problem when it's out of place or
Right.
if it is overreacting.
Yeah.
Um,
Or extended, or yeah.
Totally uncalled for. Yeah.
Oh God, there's my husband.
Hey, Johnny's in the chat.
Speak of
Trolling
my
the hizzy.
husband. Speaking of my husband, there he is. Watch out for him.
uh,
Watch out for him,
just when we're
Eternal
talking
Padawan.
about it, just when we're talking about emotional men.
Look who shows up. Are you crying upstairs? Is that why you had to come into the chat? Because you miss me so much?
Eternal Padawan says that women are scared of honesty, so it's hard at times to find a balance. Honesty. I think if you're talking about negative honesty, like criticism,
What kind of
um,
honesty do you mean?
Yeah, like what kind of honesty do you mean, Johnny?
He's crying his eyes out. He's dehydrated. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
I agree. So PRJVV, the one I used to have before I woke up, I had no filter, meaning shit is shit and happy is happy. I'm not a bloody actor.
yeah,
That is how I live.
yeah.
Because for a long time, people don't like to deal with people who are sad or anything but happy.
Mhm.
And the number of times I have been told to smile
Yeah.
just
Why don't you just
because it
smile?
pleases them.
Mhm.
Yes,
You're so pretty when you
just
smile.
because it. Yes, isn't
Oh.
everybody? So the thing is like it would piss me off when somebody told me to smile because it isn't about me.
Mhm.
It isn't about, is there something that's upset you
Yeah.
here drinking a coffee? Why do I need to smile to make you feel better?
Right. You just want to feel better. You don't care how I feel. This has nothing to
Precisely.
do with how I feel. This is about how you feel, and my unhappiness or discontent is making you uncomfortable, so you need me to smile so that, the field around you changes for a couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
It's off, change your own field. I don't need to smile for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And so I that sometimes I am conscious of that and I will put on a smile. I will try, but um, it isn't something that totally important or necessary in order to communicate certain things or even just walk around and go to the grocery store. I just, you know,
Yeah, I don't walk around with a big old smile on my face usually. I mean, it's, I'm not, I, I, I'm not in a sitcom. Like I'm not like walking through the grocery store like doing a little dance, the happy face on. I mean, that would be fun, and I mean, sometimes I guess
yes,
I kind of do, but
yeah,
most of the time I
sometimes you
don't.
do.
Most of the time I do
Right.
not. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's tools you can do to affect your mood or your emotional scale. There's
Yeah.
things that you can do to feel better, and so you're in better control of how you feel.
Yeah.
And I learned those tools, which are extremely useful, and Abraham Hicks talks about that. But the thing is like if you're it's extremely useful if you're somebody who has a tendency to throw your energy around, which I used to when I was younger, because I
Mhm.
didn't know how to control it. I was angry
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
to control it, and I didn't know that I could control it. And there's a lot of people who are in that situation. And yeah, if you smiled all the time, people would think that you're not right in the head.
Right? I know. And people already question. So, yeah. Probably not gonna. Hi. Just need like creepy lipstick around the edges, and that would just complete that package.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. So yeah, like you kind of have. I do. I just now don't care anymore.
Yeah.
How I feel is how I feel, and
Mhm.
even with that
Yep.
problem,
Same with the honesty thing. I am. It's
honesty about
always
the Earth
been
not being a globe.
in my nature to be very honest and direct, and it's just who I am, and I'm blunt, and I'm not as blunt and direct as I used to be. I have toned it down a great deal from my youth, but I'm still very, very direct and honest, and I can be really brutally honest. Um, People don't come to me for, like, sugar coated stuff. They come to me when they want honest, hardcore truth, and anybody who knows me knows that. Um, so there's a lot of people who
Same.
are offended by honesty. There's a lot of people who have a really hard time with that. There's a lot of people who don't take honesty like that very well, and those are the people that aren't around me. And I'm fine with that.
Well,
Whatever.
that's the thing. The thing is that we inherently know who we can talk to about certain things. We know who to go to when we want someone to just agree with us,
Yeah.
and we want someone who's just going to um, say they're there, it'll get better. And we know who to talk to when we need someone to jolt us into change.
Yeah.
Truth. And so if somebody's coming to you and saying something to you, and you're somebody who tells them the truth, they know that about you. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
and they want it.
Right.
Eyes consciously that they want it, but they know the reason that they're talking to you about this particular issue is because they know the kind of reaction they're going to get from you.
Right. Right. They know.
And
Exactly.
yeah, if they wanted somebody to pat them on the head, they know they're not going to get that from you. So why are they telling you?
Yep. Yeah.
Padawan says,
Sugar-coated
I
candy
love it.
stuff, you would, the candy lady down the street would
Right.
be coming to me. No sugar-coated candy here.
Eternal Padawan says, I love it when people call me on my shit. It helps me grow, even if my initial reaction can be negative. I like
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
take the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Same with me. I don't always take it well, but everything is a growth opportunity. I don't want to continue to be anything that isn't conducive to my
Your
spiritual
highest good.
evolution. Yeah. If it's not suiting me, then I need to let go of it. And if I'm not aware of it, then someone can make me aware of it, then that's great.
Johnny's like, I concur.
He's making a
I
list
have a
up there
feeling
right now. My husband's
something's
making
coming
a
your way.
list. I know. My husband's like, oh,
And
roll
all of
up
this
my
stuff that I've
sleeves.
got to tell
Oh
you.
gosh. Well, let me see here. It's all right. I tell him all the things that are wrong with him all the time. So, he knows how well I take
well,
it initially sometimes. Sometimes I don't take it great initially.
yeah, nobody does. And here's the thing. The thing is that I am not a proponent of they have the internet in Canada yet.
You, you
Do
don't have to
you?
move to you won't have to move to Canada, don't worry.
I am not a big proponent of these like 360 evaluations in work environments and um, getting people to focus on their improving their weaknesses
Mm-hmm.
become the same. We have strengths for a reason,
Yeah.
and if you have a weakness preference, it is something that you prefer not to do or not to have or not to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay, because we can't focus on everything all the time. And so, for example, if it's something like, listen, your communication sucks, and we need to, in order for this relationship to work, I need to hear from you about updates on your status of this project at least once a week or every day or whatever the case may be. If you can't do that, I have to find somebody else who can. That's the reality of the situation. So it's either change your behavior, or we find somebody whose behavior matches the requirements of the job.
So am I
Same with
fired? Is
any
that what you're
relationship.
telling me? Did I
No.
just get fired? Is that what just happened?
Where did you get that?
Just joking.
Where did you get that?
I'm joking.
Like, if you're
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
about making people all the same.
Well, and
And so there's
sometimes there are certain defects that are still suiting you at certain points, and so you're not quite ready to let go of them, and that's okay too. Like, we let go of them at certain points, and it's we're not I don't think we need to have this pressure on ourselves to, have this overnight spiritual evolution of being like perfect. It takes time, and we chip away at ourselves and work on ourselves, and that's
Well,
okay.
this is why when coming to the truth, I think one of the bigger things, I think I've mentioned this before, that I found a tremendous relief was totally understanding who I am. Like, first of all, understanding who I am, appreciating who I am, and knowing that I am perfect the way that I am.
Mm-hmm.
I was created this way.
Mm-hmm.
And this paradigm, this matrix paradigm, is created to make you question all of that and hate yourself because you're not good enough.
Yeah.
That's the matrix lie.
Yep.
You are good enough.
Yeah. No matter
And
what
you
you do,
need,
you're never good enough. Yeah. And that is part of the virus. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
you need to and it's so liberating to realize that you are created this way for a reason, and you have gifts to be shared, and the things that you are not able to do or are not flaws, do them. So the only thing that for example, that you look at in terms of like change or improvement would be things that hold you back, like you said, that no longer serve you,
Right.
that are like, if you're in an abusive relationship and you don't like it, you got to check yourself and say, why am I in this relationship that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't serve me?
Yep. Yeah, it's all about what's serving you and what's not serving you anymore. Um, M- Mind Rape Art had an interesting question. Relationships are usury too, aren't they? Kind of like owning people to feel secure, same as making money. Um, I disagree, and here's why. Because, and this is me speaking for myself and how I see relationships, and my personal relationship is that um I don't I don't need my um husband in any way. Um I don't like, if he were to leave me right now or to die right now, yes, it would be sad, but I would be fine. I would not fall apart. I would not be destroyed because I do not need him. Because he is just fluff, you know? He
Are you still in the chat, Johnny?
He is, yeah. He's heard me say this before. He is he is extra, you know, he is bonus in my life. And um any person that you're with or any relationship you have should be bonus. It should not be something that you need. It should not be an existence for you. And um I don't own him, he doesn't own me, and our existence doesn't rely upon each other. Oh, he's leaving me now. Cool. See you later. You're leaving the dogs though, right? Cool. Um, it we don't need each other, you know, like we have a good time with each other, we make each other laugh, and you know, we get along great, but we don't need each other to be happy. We don't need each other for existence. And that is not a relationship that is usury in any way.
Right. So the comment here is so that there's no attachment, then that makes it completely unnecessary. Not true.
Love is
Yeah,
what
love
makes it
is,
necessary because we love each other.
yeah. I don't mean, okay, necessary.
Yeah, necessary is not, nothing is necessary. It's whether you want to do it or don't want to do it. It's not
It ought to
necessary.
be.
It's I don't do it because I have to. I don't do anything because
You
I
do it
have
because you want to.
Yeah, it's a want. It
It
doesn't.
it, it is
The
something.
moment something becomes a need, it changes what it is. It changes its vibration. It changes everything that it is. It
Yeah,
is not a
and
need.
that is, yeah, that is when it does become, because then it's transactional. If you
Yeah.
um,
Bye, Jeff.
who cooks for you. Bye, Jeff. Thanks for joining. Hope you come back again soon. It was nice to meet you. If you're with somebody who provides you with a home, food, takes care of all this stuff, like everything for you, and you are dependent upon them, then it becomes transactional, and then situation going on, and that's not a healthy relationship. But if you are in a situation where you love this person and you want to be with them, and you are, again, it's the same situation where you are freely giving of your energy and your love and attention without expecting anything in return, you can have that kind of love relationship with a lot of different people, in the sense like your friend relationship, your parental relationship, your sibling relationship, your love relationship. It is, you are just freely giving of your love energy and you don't expect anything in return. That is the kind of love relationship that is not every situation. It is the moment that you expect something in return and you're disappointed when you don't get it, to check.
Expectations come in, and that's when it starts to become something else. That's when it becomes usury and transactional, and yeah, no expectations.
Yeah, and the thing is too is that you, a big proponent of the marriage system the way that it is now. I like the idea of um, uh, with somebody because you love them and you want to develop a relationship with them over an extended period of time, and you can call that marriage, or you can call that an extended commitment, but it is in love, not legal. It's not a legality. It is not a legal requirement. It is not binding yourself to someone and making it really difficult to get out of the situation if it goes bad. And the old system, as the way that some ways you can look at it, where people are actually sold to a husband. And even if you think about, I mean, I had this thought the other day about the whole wedding ceremony, where a woman is given away by her father to her husband,
yeah,
like a piece of property.
Yep.
Because that is what she was.
Yeah.
And a woman didn't have voting rights. She didn't have rights of a citizen. And so that's why she was given away by her father to her husband like a piece of property.
Yep. She couldn't even own property because she was property.
Right. And a lot of times she had to come with property.
Yeah, a dowry.
To be appealing.
Mm-hmm.
So that the man would take her on, because women were considered a burden. Like, it's appalling.
Yeah.
And so yes, there is the possibility that a relationship can be a usury system. You're absolutely correct. It can be. Not all relationships have to be.
Yeah. Yep. It's all about where you and where you're at in your personal development and where you and that person are at. And, obviously we're not speaking about young children and parents, because obviously young children need their parents for growing up.
Well, young children,
they need them for, well, they don't actually. They don't. They need
to be looked after. They need clothing and shelter and
They
food.
need things supplied for them, but they don't need the way that we're speaking of that I need you way. Children need time and attention and love, but I think if we think of it in that way, it becomes a responsibility instead of a joy. And that's not, it's dangerous.
Well, when you if you can look at it like the person who has a child because they love the child, it's not a burden or a problem. And when you're looking out after a child, anything in return, and the child isn't asking for anything really. They need things. They need food, they need love and attention, and they need those things, but they're not necessarily understanding that the relationship is important. I don't know how to articulate this. This is such a foreign question, but the relationship in going to the parent, it doesn't necessarily have to be that parent. It could be anybody who can provide that those
interaction
means of survival.
Right. Yeah. If because I know, like, my daughter growing up, I always had a lot of people around. We just had a community around us, and so there was adults around, and so she had a number of people that she could go to, my friend Erin or my friend Eric. And so there was a community of good people around that if she had a question and I was busy or I was at work, that she could go to when she was young, that lived right by us or that were at my house, that she could talk to about things, or that would do projects with her, or that would play with her, or what have you, which was really cool because she got a lot of different perspectives other than just mine.
Yeah. And I think that's healthy. That's the part of the communal situation where we ought to be more connected to the whole than just isolated in a small pocket of like the family example. And
Yeah.
there used to be something called neighborhood watch or block parent
It's
anymore.
yeah, all the signs are
And
still
it
up
gave
though. It's weird.
here apparently we lost funding, but the idea that you like all parents parent,
Right. Yeah.
and that's been taken away because there's this sort of idea
Keep to
that
yourself.
this is not your responsibility. That's their
Right.
child, and
Right.
they're a bad parent because they're letting their child run wild.
Right.
But then you try to interfere and help that child. No, but you could be sued.
Right. We don't want to get
So you don't
involved. We don't
exactly.
want
So
to
you
get
don't do
involved.
anything.
Right.
But really, it is a communal responsibility.
Because it affects the
That's why they say it
community.
takes a village to raise a child.
Because it affects the village. That's the end of the sentence, because that child grows up and lives in the village, and it affects the whole village, and yeah.
Anyway, it is almost 2:30 in the morning here, and I
Oh
have
my
to be
gosh,
up.
what time is it? Oh my gosh, it's really late. Wow. How long have we been on here? Two
Yes,
hours. Wow. Once again, time flies when I'm having fun.
more than 2 hours, I think. Came on, oh, yeah, 2.5.
2.5 hours. Wow. Okay.
But it was a joy and a pleasure, as always. We touched on
Yes.
some very complicated topics, and
Yes.
so
Yeah.
not exactly the easiest things to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you guys being open to these ideas because this is hard stuff to take in.
Yes,
It's not
thank
easy.
you, everyone in the chat. Thank you for your wonderful comments and contributions and questions. Um, also, I think that we've talked about things that not a lot of other people are talking about.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of the reasons we wanted
So,
to get this out because people really aren't hitting on this topic and it's so important. It's like such a core. Well, we've already said why it's important. I don't need to go back over it. Eh. It's late.
ah,
Let's not
Zark,
recap.
thanks for joining. We're just ending the chat now.
Oh, bye, Zark. Bye, Zark.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to talk about this again, and
Yeah.
expand on it until we get solutions and get people aware of how to make changes, and um, keep talking about it. So thank you very much to everybody in the chat, everybody who watched, and hopefully you guys keep talking about it to and start making some changes in your own lives to
Yes.
affect this.
Affect the system.
Yeah. take it down.
However we can, you know, every little bit makes a difference. I really believe that.
It's the ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Butterfly effect.
All right.
All right, guys. Good
The
night.
entire universe is inside us, and when we change and heal ourselves, we change and heal the world.
Yeah. Yes. I love that.
Everybody.
Night, everyone. I'm gonna make my husband
Get my
cook me
mouse
some
to
dinner.
Okay. Night all.
Night, night.